Hey, how are you, friend? It's Tim Shurr here, your success coach. And today I want to talk about relationships, because relationships are the most important thing you're going to have in your life. Being able to relate with other people, both at home and at work, is essential to your success. The better you are at communicating and sharing what's going on inside of you, and the more effective you are at listening to other people and really understanding where they're coming from, the more effective and successful you're going to be. Especially if you're in sales or you're a leader of any kind, your ability to influence other people is the key to your success. And not just only at home or at work, at home as well. Because if you're in relationships at home, or if you're married, or you're in have a girlfriend or boyfriend, and you're not happy in that relationship, you take it to work with you. And so we want to make sure that you feel solid, you feel strong, connected, passionate, understood at home, and you're helping other people to feel understood as well. I use my acronym of LOVE. LUV. Do you walk around helping people to feel listened to, understood, and validated? The better you get at loving people or communicating with them, the more effective you'll be. So the biggest sabotage that occurs when it comes to relationships is not being honest or not being compassionate. So you need to be honest and compassionate when you're communicating with other people. And usually you're either good at one or the other. You're good at you're good at being honest, but you're not very compassionate about it. So you'll be very direct, but you end up hurting feelings, or people get so defensive and shut down that there's no longer a communication. There's just two people who've turned into defense lawyers who are trying their case. So instead, I heard a quote that said that honesty without compassion is brutality. We want to make sure that we are being honest, but also being caring in how you deliver the feedback that you're giving. The other part of it, though, is being compassionate is important, but make sure you're also honest. The flip side of that is that a lot of times we have a hard time being direct. Too many people go way around the situation instead of directly communicating with the person they're having an issue with. It happens all the time. People say, well, I don't want to hurt their feelings, or I don't want it to get worse, or I don't want to rock the boat, or I don't like conflict. And what happens is you're never actually sharing what's going on inside of you. And how are we supposed to change things or improve things if nobody's speaking their mind? If you're not telling them what you want or what their need, or that you're not happy, and then you go in your head and tell yourself that no one cares, that's false. Right? People aren't mind readers. You got to tell them what's really going on inside and how you're feeling if you want to create a conversation and get a dialogue going. So maybe you have in the past, you've been honest and you got punished for it, or there was pain, and so your mind links pain to being honest. That's pretty common. You don't just avoid conversations because you're afraid of conflict for no reason. There's reasons why your mind has associated pain to being open or sharing what's really going on inside. It's something that I shift a lot with clients so that they feel much more confident about sharing what's going on inside. So that's a very common sabotage when it comes to communicating with other people. We're either not being honest or we're not being compassionate. So your goal is to focus on being both. Now, I also promised you a quick 4-step process for how to improve your relationship, how to make it stronger. So let me share that real quick so that you can start to take these ideas and apply them in your relationships immediately. So step 1 is, of course, in this 4-step process, is you got to be honest. You got to share what's going on inside. Think to yourself, are you really being honest with your partner or with the people at work? Are you really telling them what you're thinking, what you're feeling, what you are experiencing when you're communicating with them? Or are you just trying to be nice? Or maybe you come across and it's too honest, and because there's no compassion, and so they feel like they're being criticized, or you're yelling at them, or they feel like you're being aggressive. So take that feedback and don't just defend yourself. Take it and learn from it and use it. Try to make yourself a better communicator, because it's a very powerful skill to have. So step 1 is be honest. Step 2, when you're communicating with somebody, paraphrase, which means when they say something to you, say it back in your own words so that you make sure that you're understanding where they're coming from. And then have them do the same. So when you say something, if you feel like you're never being heard, if people aren't listening to you, say something to them, be honest, and then ask them to say it back, what they just heard, in their own words. Right? So you can say, can you tell me back what I just said in your own words so I know we're on the same page? Or teach me back what you just heard or what you just learned so that I know that you've got it. That way, instead of wondering if it made sense to them, you now know because you asked for specific feedback. You ask them to teach it back to you. You don't have to assume that they got it, because a lot of times when we assume, we're wrong. So instead, find out if they got it. If they got it, good. You'll feel more understood and they'll know where you're coming from. If they didn't get it, say it in a different way until they do, so that you finally are on the same page. Trust me, human beings think when they're communicating they're on the same page, and most of the time they're not, and they don't know it, and it's what causes problems down the road. The third step is when you get the response that you were looking for from somebody, reinforce it. A lot of times couples do the exact opposite, or people in relationships do the exact opposite. You ask for what you want, you finally get it, and you're so frustrated or resentful that instead of saying thank you and reinforcing that with a hug or a thanks or a smile, appreciation, a pat on the back, a compliment, anything to reinforce it, instead what we do is we don't reinforce it. We get frustrated. We say, well, you should have done this 2 days ago, right? Or we say, whatever, I don't even care anymore. And we shut it down. What happens is the person you're communicating with, in their mind, they start to think to themselves, well, talking to you equals pain, so I'm not going to talk to you. You tell me that I should talk to you and trust you, and then when I do, you just yell at me. And it just reinforces that limiting belief that I can't be honest with you, and then it messes up the relationship. So instead, focus on what you can do to paraphrase and make sure you're on the same page. And then last, step 4, seek first to understand, then be understood. Instead of just sharing how you're feeling all the time, find out how other people are feeling and try to understand their point of view instead of just getting your point of view across. So be honest, paraphrase, reinforce it when you're getting what you want from them. Seek first to understand, then be understood, and make sure to be both honest and compassionate. If you have questions, or if you're doing one of those, tell me on the comments. Right? Write down, I'm more direct, or I'm more honest, or I'm more compassionate, but this is what I'm working on. Let me know what you're working on, and let's stick together in improving all of our relationships with the people that matter most to us. All right? Thanks so much, and I hope that your day is a sure success. Talk to you soon.